Okay. This is just going to be a video of a recap of my Missouri hunt from November of 2022. I was fortunate enough to be invited by my uncle to go to a property in Missouri that is owned and managed by Mark Pierce. Now, Mark Pierce, if you don't know who that is, at one point he had the #1 breeder buck in the world, or maybe just America. Either way, quite impressive. It was Hydro Axe, and I believe there might have been a Hydro Axe 2. You can look that up. But regardless, Mark Pierce, he had these high fence deer, breeder deer, and got rid of all of that and decided to grow big deer. He said that a lot. I'm just trying to grow big deer in the wild. So he had properties that he managed, but there was no fences. It was just open land. And he managed it by having minimum rack requirements for shooting bucks. Some properties were 140 inch, but not many. Otherwise, it was a 150 inch minimum rack. And once again, I don't know how to get into all of the scoring, but mass in, I believe, 4 spots, inside width, tine length, add it all up. There's a lot of measuring that goes into 150 inches. And I did not shoot a 150 inch deer. When I shot my big 8-point buck, it was the biggest deer I've ever seen in the wild. It ended up scoring 126 inches. So 150 is still just mind boggling. Anyway, I was at Mark's property. We got there, I don't remember, like a Thursday afternoon. But our hunt started Friday through Wednesday, something like that, Friday through Tuesday. And so we got there Thursday. We signed our contracts that said if we shoot less than 150 inch deer, we are willing, or we will pay a $1,000 fine. We signed our liability contracts as far as safety goes, things like that. We're all hunting, we're on his property. You know, there's not a liability if we were to get hurt. Did that. He said, hey, you guys want to go hunting? So we said, yeah, that'd be great. And he kind of guided us to the spots on the road and then said, this is how you get to your stand. Mark's a stand-up guy. His lodge is amazing. There were a handful of other groups there from the Carolinas and from Louisiana, Mississippi, and Ronnie Adams from the Swamp People was there. And he had a couple of other friends and family members, and they were all just awesome people. It was such a cool experience for an out-of-state hunt. Anyway, Thursday was our first afternoon hunt, and it was about a half-mile walk back to this Texas Wildlife Supply deer blind. It was 25 feet up off the ground, something like that. Massive, insulated, awesome blind, super quiet. By the time I got out there, I was just dripping sweat. And so I opened every single window, and that was when I realized what hunting in the wind really feels like. I've experienced wind in Michigan hunting, but I've never experienced the plains wind. Unreal wind. So I got cold fast. Spent my first day just watching. Now, hunter safety, they say you shouldn't do this. I guess ethically you probably shouldn't do this, but you'll notice a few times in the videos that my gun is out, or I might even be moving my gun around at a deer. Having my glasses, I don't know. it's very hard for me to use binoculars. And so I find myself using my scope as my binos, as my glass. And so I use my scope often. But my gun, I have to pull the hammer back to cock it. So it can't fire with the hammer forward. I know that. So take it as you wish. I guess this is one of the do as I say, not as I do moments, but please use your own discernment and responsibility and judgment for how you look at deer. Since then, I've found a rangefinder, and then I can focus with just one eye, and I use that often at home. Nobody likes this hat. I think it's great. It's huge and annoying. But anyway, also, one other thing. I was filming on an iPad. So it makes noises, makes a lot of clicking and popping sounds. So you'll hear that. I don't think I had this one when I was there, but it doesn't have the best recording ability. It doesn't have the best quality, but a little bit of a this or that. A couple things. I found out what bucked up energy drinks are. I thought that was so funny. I was getting bucked up. And so that was my lucky drink. I'll put a few of these pictures in the video, but Mark did show us what 150 plus inch deer looks like. He had racks in his lodge for us to view, and these were some of his prized bucks that he took the year before in 2021. While we were there was very little snow while we were there, but while we were away at home in Michigan, there was like a 2-foot snowstorm. It was insane. So my dear wife, she was my plow service, taking care of the neighbors and the friends and family that I plow for. So I have to be thankful for that as well. But just beautiful, beautiful landscapes. It was very eye-opening, and it made me want to improve my hunt here in Michigan. It made me want to plan for better deer property management. I saw multiple eagles flying up and down the river behind me. I saw raccoons climbing a tree. I just saw so much wildlife that I don't normally see hunting where I hunt. I'm lucky to see a couple squirrels, maybe a few birds, and deer pass through once in a while. Kind of in the Dan Fitzgerald mindset. I hunt for meat, and if I see good meat, I'm going to shoot it. And that's kind of the way that goes. I would love to get into a position where I can put meat in my freezer and then trophy hunt, or shoot a couple does with a bow early season and then hunt for that big buck, you know. But I'll get there someday. Anyway, here we go. So this view is the river bottom that was behind me, and I wasn't sure where the deer would be coming from, where they'd be going to. I was just kind of watching. Now, kind of like the grass at my home, the deer are like ghosts. They move through, and it's very hard to watch them. I was really enjoying watching the eagles. They were playing, they were fishing, they were hunting, they were talking. It was pretty sweet. This here's one of the raccoons I just enjoyed watching climb the tree. It is amazing how fast they can move. Now these little sapling trees ended up just being almost as much of a ghost background as the grass. You can see the deer move in and out, and you know, it's just cool to see how well they can be camouflaged in their own nature. So with two deer traveling west, one north of me, one south of me, I watched them come together, and I decided I'd try a little grunt call, basically just to see if I could get their attention. I forgot to mention that the iPad that I was recording with had very, very limited space on it. I was deleting anything and everything I didn't need to try to capture footage and put it together and make videos. And, you know, some things got a little bit lost. That pretty much concluded my first afternoon. Now, from my vantage point, the trail that the deer were on was the trail that I ended up walking out on. And that was the half-a-mile hike. And I stopped at some point, and I had a flashlight, I had mittens. I think I stopped and I peed. And I'm going along and realized that I had lost my mittens. So in the dark, with a dead phone and a dead iPad, I see my uncle driving back and forth on the road looking for me. He wasn't sure where they dropped me off, and his buddy wasn't sure where they dropped me off, so they were just scanning for me, and I'm out in the grass looking for my mittens. Once I found my mittens, I hightailed it back to the road, found them, and started my next morning of video recording. To watch these videos without my commentary, I will leave links in the description. Now, the next morning started with all kinds of activity. This little buck, he was just hot to trot. He was cruising around, he was on the prowl, he was behind me, he was in front of me. Here he is, just itching that scratch. He was rubbing on the branches, and at some point to the left, I don't think you'll see it, but I had seen much larger antlers in those little woods. I couldn't get a glimpse of what it was, but there was just movement everywhere that I was watching, enjoying. And this deer, he had gone from the west to the east, and then turned around, went back west for a while, and then turned back, and here comes this big monster buck. Now, this is one spot where I wish I would have had more space available to record, because when he jumped the little buck, it was pretty impressive how he just came bouncing out of there. Now, that little buck was back just kind of wondering what was going on. And here you can see the doe leading the big buck, and he had a doe bedded down and locked down. And this is where I'm talking. I was looking through my gun, through my scope, just watching him, enjoying it. I had sent the video of him jumping the little buck to some friends, and they were just like, wow, that's so massive. And in the meantime, I'm studying it more and more and decided I'm not going to shoot it. I'm just going to watch. Well, as we all know, here he had sat there and presented himself an opportunity, and I just decided to take it. Oh, I hope that's 150 inches. That was really tall. He's a big 8. Oh, please. Oh, I hope that was big enough. Oh. just shot the biggest buck of my life. Oh, I'm so shaky, I'm cold. Oh, it's freezing out here and the wind's blowing. I was just gonna close some windows and I didn't care. I'm just like, oh boy, maybe this is gonna be it. Come on, buddy. Let's see 150 inches. Oh boy, I don't know. Now here's where it gets interesting, I guess. Yes, I shot a 126-inch deer in a 150-inch property. 24 inches is pretty hard to make up. I guess I was just a bad judge on the hoof. But it's still my biggest deer, and I'm very happy that I did shoot it. Mark wasn't upset with me. He was just okay with me paying my fine, and he also let me go hunt does. Well, we're enjoying the last day of Missouri gun or rifle season. I got a doe down right there. I took her this morning right over there, and she just dropped right in her tracks. I drug her to the road. I gotta say that this 450 Bushmaster single shot break action is amazing. It's a CVA Hunter, and it dropped my big 8-point the other day right over there, and it dropped this doe right here, and every other deer I've shot with it seems to do the same thing. Very fast and an ethical kill, and a perfect day to sit in a tree. I processed quite a bit of meat. I packaged it, brought it home, and fed my family. I shared it with some friends, and nobody else on our trip did. So I don't know if I won or lost, but I'm still pretty excited about this hunt. It's been over a year, and I still look back. So I'm glad you spent some time and enjoyed maybe my story. And hopefully you can get out, travel, go experience a new hunt, and kind of just get out of your comfort zone. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Good luck hunting.